Hey everyone, welcome to House Call. I'm Dr. Rueben Brock. I am here all by myself today. Danny Miller has taken the day off, so make sure you mess with him about that. We work literally like one day a week, and he got to take the day off. But that's whatever. It's cool. It's all about that work-life balance, I guess. But let's get to it. I got a few things I want to talk about today. I'm seeing some things in the news and in the media that are just kind of sticking out in my mind, so I wanted to talk a little bit. There's this new trend that is going on among young people. So Russell Wilson, the football player, and I'm not into football, so forgive me if I don't know enough about Russell Wilson himself, but he's a football player. He's a quarterback. I think he might play for the Seahawks, but he's dating the singer Sierra, and apparently people are upset with him, I think, because he said in a recent interview that the biggest fear he has is losing his wife. And so now people are calling him a simp. And simp is a new thing. I never heard of this, and I actually had to look it up. But apparently, what it means is that you are a guy who is overly sensitive and too nice to your significant other. So they'll call you a simp. I'm not sure what simp is short for. Maybe it's short for simple. I don't know. But I guess apparently it's a bad thing if you are overly sweet and kind to your girlfriend or wife. And so there are people who are talking smack on Michael B. Jordan, calling him a simp because he rented out. I think he rented out the aquarium or something like that because he's dating some girl and she liked whales or dolphins or something. And so he rented the place out so that she could see, I don't know, whatever, the dolphins or whatever she likes. So people are calling him a simp too. And this is both confusing and frustrating to me. It's confusing because it makes me wonder what do y'all want men to do? How do you want them to be? Right? So, we don't like men who are kind of like overly, I don't know what the word is, but who are too forceful, who aren't sensitive and caring, and rightfully so. We don't like dudes, like America has a pretty awful culture with respect to men. So like rape culture is a real thing. Men feel entitled to whatever they want from women, and that's terrible. And I think we pretty much all agree on that. I hope. But then I hear that there is the flip side where people don't want these men who are like soft, right? Men who are too nice, too sweet, too sensitive. Apparently that's a bad thing. I don't understand. I don't get it. What's wrong with, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what's wrong with Russell Wilson saying that the thing that he fears the most is losing his wife? I'm trying to figure out what's problematic about that statement. What should be more, what should be a bigger fear for him? I mean, I can think of only a couple of things that I believe would rock me to my core. Losing one of my children and losing my wife. And if I'm being honest, the top of that list is losing my wife. I love my children. I think everybody that knows me knows I love my children. But I'm utterly useless without my wife. I am completely, totally, utterly gone for her, right? I'm just helplessly, hopelessly, enamored with, in love with, connected to my wife. And so I think to myself, if I'm ever famous and somebody asks me, well, what's your biggest fear? I probably wouldn't list losing my wife as my biggest fear, because I don't think I'm going to lose my wife. I think I'll put that on everything I have. We have the best relationship. I've never seen, I mean, I don't know everybody, but I'm just saying, I'm pretty solid about my marriage. We're like the dream team. So I probably wouldn't list it as a fear, but push comes to shove, the thing that I would dislike the most in the world, you could shoot me in the leg and I'll be all right. You take my wife away from me, I'm done. It's over. It's a wrap. And so, and I really don't understand. I don't understand somebody saying that's not a good thing. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I don't say that, like, you know, if my wife left me, I would disintegrate. I mean, I probably would disintegrate. Now that I think about it, I probably would. That probably would actually happen. But I'm saying everybody can live. You know, you go on. Life goes on. But I wouldn't enjoy it. So I really don't understand someone saying about maybe there's more to the story. Somebody help me out. What am I missing? What's the part that I don't understand? Because a man pledging his kind of undying love, unwavering love for his wife, isn't that a positive? Isn't that a good thing? And somebody help me out with this Michael B. Jordan thing. I don't understand anyone talking smack on Michael B. Jordan anyway, regardless, because Michael B. Jordan's the truth. Come on now, look at him. I mean, he's dope as an actor, right? I've yet to see him do badly on a part. My wife salivates whenever you say his name, right? So he's good looking. I mean, I don't even need her opinion. I know he's good. I'm not into guys, but I can look at Michael B. Jordan and know he's good looking. And so and then he's nice. He's you know, that's gangster in my opinion. You want to take your wife to, or you take your girlfriend. I don't think he's been dating her for that long. I think that's one of the things people are saying, like, you ain't even been with her that long, so you're out here renting out whole this and that. You know, that's corny. First of all, that's gangster in my opinion. Like, I'm dating someone and I'm be like, you know what? Let's go to the aquarium. I'm gonna rent the whole thing out, so you can walk around, or we could have a meal right there in the little dolphin enclosure. Might ride a dolphin. If I'm Michael B. Jordan, I'm doing that too. And shout out to Michael B. Jordan, because I bet you she liked it. I bet you that. But there are people who are saying, like, oh, that makes you soft. I'm confused about that. What happened to our society where a man being affectionate, a man being loving, a man being kind is problematic? I really don't understand that. Now, here's what I'll say from like a psychology perspective. If I just dive into the science behind this, I get the whole idea of why women love the bad guy. And if you've never looked into this, studied this at all, let me school you for a second. There's an evolutionary explanation for, you know, being enamored with the bad guy. Because you go back far enough in human history, a woman would have looked for a man that could have been her provider, protector, that kind of thing. And so the tough guy, on a very, very basic and instinctual level, the tough guy is attractive because, again, underneath your conscious decision-making processes, there are these, you know, instinctual drives. And so a woman being driven to the bad guy, the tough guy, you know, I get it, because it's you don't rewrite thousands of years of DNA. I get that. Right? So you want the tough guy, you want the bad guy, or whatever, the bad boy or whatever. Cool, I get that. But here's the problem. The problem is, today in our world, you don't need a guy who's going to go out and wrestle a bison for you, right? Because there aren't bison running around. I'm guessing where Michael B. Jordan, I don't know where he lives, but I'm pretty sure there are no saber-toothed tigers walking down the street. And even if there are, look at him, he's ripped. I mean, so it's not like you could tell me that he doesn't fit the bill of, like, your whatever, the tough guy, whatever. And maybe, okay, so maybe he's just a little ultra sensitive or whatever. And so you're saying, is he tough enough or whatever? He's a movie star. So he got money. He could just pay for the guy who could wrestle the saber-toothed tiger who's not even there anyway. So, but theoretically, he's good. He's got it covered. He's got enough money. And today in America, the person with the most money is going to keep you the safest. Truth be told, that's the way it works. Because in America, money is what makes the world go round. So I'm sure he's good on that. He couldn't be that big of a fool. There's no way, right? So he's cool. He's cool because think about it. He rented out the whole aquarium or whatever, so he could go on a date. That's balling, right? So where's the argument that he doesn't have it covered? So really what it is people are just saying, nah, I don't like that because that's soft. Truth be told, here's the thing. It's not. You all know it's not. Whoever said that, y'all, it's a lie. That's a lie, and you know it. What it is you're hating. You're hating because Michael B. Jordan is like the best looking dude on earth right now, and you're mad that he took somebody else to the aquarium. That's what it is. That's the only logical explanation I can come up with. If somebody else has a better explanation for that, or than what I just gave, I need you to leave it for me in the comments, because I have no other context that I could think of for why somebody would be hating on Michael B. Jordan for shutting down the zoo or whatever so he could take this girl out on a date, this lady out on a date. I don't even know who he took out on a date. I should probably look it up. I don't know. But I just wanted to talk about this whole idea of a simp, because there are certain things that I don't understand somebody not wanting to be. And this whole simp idea is confusing to me, because I don't understand why somebody would want to not be sensitive, want to not be kind and loving to their significant other. I don't understand the virtue in, like, you're not enough of a jerk. Because a lot of people, I see that all the time, like people putting up these little memes that say like, women don't actually like the nice guy. They don't actually want the good guy. They want the guy that treats them bad. I can't speak on it because I'm not a woman, but I really hope that's not the case. Because first of all, I'm definitely a simp. If simp just means super nice, sensitive, that's definitely me. So I might as well get the t-shirt, man. I need to get a t-shirt. Somebody out there, give me a t-shirt. I don't. But again, I don't get it. I don't get not wanting that. And while I'm on this topic, I don't understand people like, so feminism, people talk about feminism like it's a bad thing. But to the best of my knowledge, feminism is just an understanding of the fact that there are power differentials in our country, and that those power differentials with respect to gender are wrong, and the desire to want those power differentials to be remediated. That is feminism. And somebody out there, correct me if that's not true, if that's an incomplete understanding of feminism. But a desire for equality of the genders, and a recognition of that inequality as it currently plays out, that's my understanding of feminism. And I'm not, don't get me up here lying. I'm not steeped in the knowledge and the history of feminism. But what I'm saying is that on a basic core level, I don't understand anybody saying they aren't a feminist. Because basically what you're saying is, I don't think men and women are equal, and I don't think they should be equal. That's, if you tell me that you're not a feminist or you don't want to be a feminist, that's what you're saying to me, is you just basically don't like women. And I'm like, how does that work? Right? You have a mom. Everybody has a mom. So how do you dislike women and you have a mom? That doesn't make any sense to me. There are a lot of things that you'll find if you watch this show long enough, you'll find that there are a lot of things that don't make any sense to me. And it's just very, very confusing to me, because I kind of, the way I think, I don't get it. When I see these things pop up, I'm just like, what is wrong with y'all? I really don't understand. So somebody help me understand this simp idea. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe I don't understand. I I want to get this show to the point where we can do call-ins, because I want somebody to call in and tell me, what is this simp? What am I missing? I don't understand. If it just means you're a nice guy, you're sensitive and you're kind to your lady, well, then sign me up. I'm probably not simple enough, because my wife would argue that I probably I'm not sensitive enough about her needs and stuff like that, because she definitely does the lion's share of like watching the kid. Right now, I'm shooting this and she's down in the basement taking care of the baby. And that's the way our life works. She supports me in everything that I do. And so, I don't understand anyone arguing that you shouldn't be super sensitive and kind and loving to the woman in your life, because at least in my wife literally facilitates my existence. I mean, what y'all get to see is this well put together, kind of thoughtful, successful guy. But in the morning, when I wake up every day, I'm a mess, and she puts me together and sends me out on my way. You think I'm lying? That's not an exaggeration. So when I get to the point, I'm not at the point where I could rent out the whole aquarium so she could look at some fish. But I bet you when I get to that point, I bet you I will. I bet Michael B. Jordan, listen, if you want to send me information on how you did that, hit me up, because that's balling if you ask me. So one day, I'm gonna be right where you were. Probably not. I'll do mine at the Pittsburgh Zoo, because I'm not driving all the way to where you are. But you understand what I'm saying. So I don't get it, the whole simp idea. And Russell, yeah, I'm on your side, man. I don't get it, what everybody's talking about. I don't see it. You expressing your love and need for your wife. Here's what I want. The dude who doesn't feel like that about his wife, you send me a message. Inbox me, don't get yourself in trouble. Don't put it on the comments so everybody can read it and you get yourself in trouble and get yourself a divorce. But send me an inbox message and tell me, nah, I don't feel like that about my wife. I don't care. She can go if she wants to. I want to hear from that dude, because I don't get it. I really don't. Listen, I'm a pretty simple person, so I want to hear how this works for these other people who don't feel the way Russell Wilson said he felt about Sierra, because I'm not really understanding it. So that's one I wanted to cover. Hold on, let me take my sip of Abita root beer. I'm still not paid by Abita root beer, and I'm upset about that. Abita, where you at? I mean, I'm trying to get this contract going. Listen, I'm telling you, all I need is 2 cases of Abita per month, and I'll shout you out every show. That's a pretty good deal. It's probably like maybe $75 or something like that, $50. It probably cost y'all $10 to send me 2 cases of Abita every month. That's a pretty good deal, and I mean what I say. I'll shout you out. I don't care how big this show gets. You send me two cases of Abita per month, I'm shouting you out on all of my platforms. Hold on, let me get this is literally the best root beer on earth. All right, so there's that. But I want to talk about a couple of other things. I want to talk about Texas. So recently in Texas, there was a failure of their power grid, and there are all these people in Texas that don't have power, which means they don't have heat. Because for a lot of people, your heat comes from electricity, and your electricity's off, so you don't have heat. And the beginning of that story was, it was a big fuss being made because a lot of Republicans, a lot of Texas Republican officials were lying and saying that it was the use of renewable energy that caused the power failure, and there was this like photo of a helicopter spraying wind turbines, and they were saying, see, Like if we're using all this fuel for the helicopter that goes up and tries to get the wind turbines working again. So we're using fossil fuels anyway, blah, blah, blah. Well, meanwhile, that was all a lie anyway. That's not what happened. That wasn't even a picture of Texas. It was like someplace else. And so there was that. There was the piece of it that was Texas Republican officials lying about the fact that it was renewable energy. But basically, I don't know, John, using this as an opportunity to take shots at people who are calling for renewable energy instead of fossil fuels, I guess. That was one thing that happened. But then the big issue that took over, the big story was that Ted Cruz, in the midst of millions of Texans, and Ted Cruz is a senator from Texas, and he took a lot of heat because in the midst of all that mess, he got on an airplane and went to Cancun with his family and basically abandoned his state. Now, what I thought was interesting about this was that it was either yesterday, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, I forget what day. Maybe it was yesterday. I got in my car I was in my wife's car and she had the radio on. I never listened to the actual radio. But when I got into my wife's car, the radio was on and there was what seemed to be a Republican talk radio host talking about this whole Ted Cruz thing. And he essentially said, okay, I see everybody's mad at Ted Cruz for getting on an airplane and going to Cancun. And he's saying, okay, I'll give you the fact that it looks bad. The optics aren't good. And Ted Cruz should have known that there was going to be backlash. This was a bad decision. However, this guy says, let's be honest with ourselves. What is Ted Cruz actually supposed to do? And he goes on to explain his position, but essentially what he's saying is Ted Cruz is not the governor of Texas. Ted Cruz isn't even a state legislator in Texas. He's a United States senator. So essentially, Ted Cruz's work responsibilities don't intersect at all with the issue that's happening in Texas. And so therefore, he's not really abandoning his own responsibilities by fleeing in the midst of this crisis, because it's not really his job to fix this one. And so this Republican pundit, is it pundit or pundit? I forget, whatever it is. This talk show host was essentially saying, okay, folks, somebody call in and tell me what exactly Ted Cruz was skipping out on. What responsibility did he have that he was sidestepping by flying to Cancun? Is it a bad idea? Yes. Does it look bad? Of course. Should he have known not to do that? Yes. But let's be real. What was he really supposed to be doing? Somebody tell me, somebody show me what it looks like. And I was very tempted to call. I really, really was, because it frustrates me so much that people are this dishonest. Because that's what I hear. When I hear someone saying what this radio show host was saying, my first thought was, this is completely dishonest. Because let's be real for a second. Okay, he doesn't have any responsibility to vote on or write or push or lobby for any legislation at the state level, because he's not a state lawmaker. But that doesn't mean he has no responsibility to his constituents. And his constituents are the entire state of Texas, right? He does have an absolute responsibility to the people of his constituency, and his responsibility is to be a leader. Because state leadership Now in Pennsylvania we've got the governor, we've got a lieutenant governor, we've got the Congress people in every district that they are in, and then you've got the senators that are statewide. If I'm listing the leadership in any given state, that's who I would list: the governor, the lieutenant governor, the state legislators, the congressional legislators, including the Senate. Right? Those are all the leaders. And I would argue that the top of that food chain probably goes governor and U.S. senators. As far as power, as far as ability to move mountains, as far as leadership. And because leadership is all about how big your microphone is, how many people listen when you talk. And let's be honest here. Of the United States senators, Ted Cruz is one of the most famous, one of the most influential. For good or for bad, right or for wrong, he is. And so Ted Cruz then has the power to move mountains. And you ask yourself, what is his responsibility? Well, okay, take a look at what AOC was doing or is doing. At the same time that Ted Cruz was getting on an airplane going to Cancun, AOC was raising money. Now, I didn't look at how she raised money. I haven't looked into what mechanism she used to raise the money, but she raised so far $4 million. And she flew to Texas to help administer that aid, whatever aid she brought, right? $4 million brings a lot of aid. And so you ask yourself, what is Ted Cruz supposed to do? That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be a leader. Because, and I've said this many, many times in the last 2 years, in America, we must get away from accepting bad people as our leaders. We must get back to moral leadership, right? And moral leaders are the ones who roll up their sleeves, get down in the dirt with you. When there's a fight to be fought, they're on the ground with you. That's great leadership, right? And so, do you think Ted Cruz has the ability to raise a couple $1 million to buy people generators, and bring water and blankets to the people of Texas? Does he have the ability to, and now some of this stuff, could he have done it from the phone in Cancun? Sure. But again, what type of a leader do you want? Do you want a leader who, when stuff is bad, he gets on an airplane and goes to Cancun and then makes phone calls from his cell phone, getting stuff done? Now, if he gets things done, good for him. But let's be honest. What type of a leader do you want? Do you want the leader who says, I need to be there? I need to be in the midst of it. If my constituents are freezing, I'm freezing with them. That's who I want. That's the type of leader that I want. And I don't think there's any debate about whether or not Ted Cruz is that guy. He's not. He's clearly not. Right? So he goes to Cancun, and then he blames his family. He said they made me go. They wanted me to go, or something like that. I think he said his kids wanted him to go, which I can understand. Your kids, you probably booked that trip long time ago, and your kids are like, we're going to Cancun, Dad. Come on, we got to go. The right call in that moment, send them. You stay home, Senator Cruz. You stay home, and you throw your mask on and you get out there in the trenches, because that's leadership. That's what leaders do. And if you don't, it's because you suck as a leader. As simple as that. We have to get away from being dishonest about this stuff. It just is what it is, right? A good leader stands beside you in the trenches until the job is done, right? A great leader inspires people, because the fact of the matter is, Ted Cruz from Texas sending out videos on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook saying, send money, send blankets, send whatever you can. The people of Texas need you. You're going to generate $10 million. And why wouldn't you do that? What else were you trying to work on your tan? I don't like, what do you, so whoever, I forget what the guy's name is. I forget what the radio host name was who asked the question. I didn't get to call you back. I didn't get to call you. I didn't call in. But there's your answer. Your answer is he was running out on his leadership responsibilities, because leadership is not about it's not always necessarily about what are the technical responsibilities of your job. And I would argue that United States senators today aren't accomplishing much. But if your state is in a deep freeze and the people of your state are struggling, yeah, you're on. You're on now, right? It is time for your leadership. It's time for you to step up. And when it was time for him to step up, he bailed. He went to Cancun. He did come back, but he came back because he was getting flack. And so, it's really, really frustrating to me that there are people who act like, what's the big deal? He went to Cancun in the midst of a crisis in his state. It's a big deal. It is a big deal, because it means that, again, we have as leaders people who are just not good people. But there's also more to this. So now what we're seeing is that people who did have power, people whose power didn't just get shut off. So your lights are still on. And what we're finding is that these people, they're facing now electric bills that are $10,000. I even saw one report said there are people with $17,000 and $18,000 electric bills that have been racked up over this past week. And this is really, really frustrating to me. And again, this is where Ted Cruz could come in. It's a real problem that in America, we consistently link basic necessities with someone's profit. Right? Because that's what that means. If during a crisis, right, the state of Texas, the power grid failed, people are without power, but the people who aren't without power, their systems are working overtime, and in order to keep my house lit and heated, I'm racking up a $15,000 electric bill. And there will be somebody out there who says, yeah, they got to pay that bill. And they even had their who was it? It was a mayor somewhere in Texas that was like, it's, survival of the fittest. It's every man for himself. We don't owe you anything. The people who are prepared to, they'll survive, and the people who won't, oh well. Something along them lines. But this is the culture we have in America. People who really truly believe, hey, you're on your own. We're all struggling here. There's a crisis that you couldn't possibly have controlled or foreseen. And the crisis has to do with the fact that somebody in power didn't do what they were supposed to do. Because there are systems in other states where they have much colder weather that aren't failing. And why are they not failing? It's because they were prepared for extreme cold. So my understanding is that the system in Texas, they basically did a workaround for the kind of extreme cold prep to the system. Like a system, their system was like, all right, we can deal with extreme heat because that's what we're likely to have here, but it's going to cost us extra money to make it so that our system can withstand extreme cold. What's the big deal? What's the likelihood that we have extreme cold in Texas? Well, here you are. And because of all that, there are people with a $15,000 electric bill right now. And there will be a company, there'll be an electric company saying, no, you got to pay your money or else we're going to shut off your lights. And people don't understand how problematic that is. How ridiculous that is. How much that makes, how little sense that makes. That a necessity like electricity, heat, your basic utilities being tied to a profit-driven system such that when there's a crisis like this, your electric bill goes through the roof. Now there will be people whose safety and security is in question now because they can't pay their electric bill, and there's nothing they could have done to change it, right? There's nothing you could do. It's that cold. If your power's still on, your system is working overtime to try to keep your house warm, and it's racking up a bill. I mean, I've got a big house. On very cold months, my electric bill is very high, right? I can't impact the weather outside, so I just have to deal with the electric bill. But what about a system like, what about a situation like Texas where it's like above and beyond the normal range, right? I expect for my electric bill to get high, I've had $400 electric bills in the wintertime. So, and I'm like, geez, that's a lot. But $15,000, listen. You think you about to get that? That's what I hope. I hope everybody says, come get it. I'll just give you the electricity back. I wasn't trying to use it. I didn't want it. Come get it. That's what I hope everybody says. I hope every last person in Texas who has here's what I want y'all to do. Everybody in Texas, my opinion. I'm giving y'all free legal advice that is absolutely worthless because I'm not a lawyer and I don't even know the situation. However, my advice to you is send them $100. And be like, I don't got the rest. And until we as a country push back against the idea of tying profit to our necessities, until we push back against that, it'll keep on happening. And the only way to really push back is with the money, because that's the whole system is about money. And so that brings me to my next topic. I just literally saw, I was prepping for the show and I pulled up, all right, what's going on in the world? And I saw this story about this guy, an Uber Eats driver who went viral with this video where he was basically saying like, I'm going to be homeless again for like the third time in the last couple months because I don't make enough money because people don't tip. And he was telling the story of how he was delivering this food and there was no free parking in front of the house he needed to deliver to, and the people wouldn't come out of their house to meet him, so he didn't have to park. So he had to pay $3 for parking so he could take these people their food. And then they tipped him $1.50, and Uber Eats paid him $2.50. So he made like $4, but he had paid $3 for parking. So it nets out to $1, right? He makes $1 out of that deal. And he's like, how hard is it to just put a 5 on the tip? And he was basically saying, I wish people would understand, this is what we live on. And it really made me think, because he said, he's struggling and he's going to be homeless again. And it's all because people don't want to tip. And as much as I feel for that dude, no, it's not. That's not the problem. Right? And that's what we in America tend to do. We tend to point the finger at the other poor people in the situation, and we blame them. And so I just want to push back on that for a second. Sir, Mr. Uber Eats driver, sir, it's not, your problem is a problem, and I feel for you. My heart goes out to you. But it's not about people not tipping. That is not the breakdown in our system. The breakdown in our system is that these companies create services that make millions and millions and millions of dollars for them, and they pay you $1.50. That's the problem. Because here's the thing. Are there people who don't tip well? Of course. I used to be one of them. You talked to me 20 years ago, I'd have told you I don't even believe in tips. You know why? I was poor. And so when I would go someplace to eat, on the rare occasion that I did go someplace to eat, I usually had enough money to pay for my meal, and I had very little left. And so it was it selfish? Of course it was. But I was like, listen, I'll give you $1, I'll give you $2 maybe, but I'm not giving you more than that because I don't have more than that. And people say, well, then don't go out to eat. But it doesn't work that way. You don't get to tell somebody what they can and can't do. And more importantly, if you've ever been poor, you know not to hate on poor people, right? So it's not about the person, because a lot of times, for example, right now, we eat out a lot. And we eat out a lot because we've got a toddler in the house and we don't have time for cooking because we're both working adults. We're always working. And when we're not working, we're trading off taking care of the baby. And so it's like, you know what? We're just going to order some food. Right. So we're not ordering food as a luxury. We're ordering food out of necessity because we don't have time to go to the grocery store. We don't have time to cook. So we just order out a lot. Right now, thankfully, we're in a position where we can always try to give a decent tip. Right. And that is the policy in my house. However, I know there was a time when I would order food and tip very little. And I'm sure there were times when I tipped none because I was broke. And when you're in survival mode, you do what people in survival mode do. Right. And so listen, I do wish everybody tipped you $5 or more. I do. I 100% agree with you. But the problem with our system is not the person who's not tipping. That is not where the system breaks down. Our system breaks down when, again, we attach necessities to someone else's profit. Because anytime anything is attached to profit, the person who stands to gain is going to do anything that they can do to maximize their profit and minimize their expenses. And so they give you $1.50 for that job. And I'm sure that the Uber Eats bill was probably $5, $6, $7, I don't know, $10, whatever it was. But you didn't get half. That's not your cut. Your cut's not going to be half of their profit, right? And so the problem is this whole system, waitresses making like nothing per hour, waiters making, very, very little per hour because it's built on the idea that people are supposed to tip you. All that is the person at the top saying, oh, cool, I don't have to pay these people. We'll rely on the customer to pay the wages of my waiters and waitresses because that's the system and it works and it creates more profit for me. And what's frustrating for me about that is that then the Uber Eats driver, and believe me when I tell you, I watched the video, I saw the tears in his eyes, so I get it. He's in survival mode too. And he's scratching and clawing at whatever he can scratch and claw at. But our system tells us to come at each other, right? Because he's saying, why can't these people just drop a $5 in the tip? How hard is that? Well, for some people, it's very hard. Some people don't have that. I know I was that person at one point. I didn't have the $5. Where should that money come from? That money should come from the company. Pay your employees. Pay them well. All these companies, they fight against their drivers unionizing. They fight against their drivers being considered, regular employees. They're all subcontractors, so then you don't have to give them insurance and all that other stuff. It's all designed so that the company can make more money. And that's the problem. It's not the customer that doesn't give you a $5 tip. Because the fact of the matter is there are people ordering food with their last $7. And we can talk all day about whether or not that's a good idea, but it doesn't matter. Right? Because that's not how it works. You don't get to tell the person who only has $7 to their name that they don't have the right to order a cheeseburger for $6.99 because they don't have money for the tip. It doesn't work that way. When you're poor and you can find a way to feel human for a minute, you do it. Trust me when I tell you that. I know. I've been there. And so what I'm thinking about today is we've got to figure out a way as a culture, as a society, to get away from monetizing people's needs. I don't know how we do that, but that's what we need to do. We've got to figure out a way to get away from extracting value from people's needs and people's pain. In America, it's not unheard of for someone to make decisions about their life based on what you can afford. I'm talking about, do I go have this surgery that I need? There are people, so as a therapist, you come and see me and you come and sit down, it's going to cost you, $100 an hour, right? That's in Pennsylvania. That's roughly the rate for a licensed counselor. If you don't have insurance, you got to be willing to come out of pocket, and typical treatment is going to be once a week. That means $400 a month to get your mental health in order. And there are lots of people for whom that is not a feasible idea. So that means there are people who would choose to continue to be unwell because it's not financially feasible for them to get better. It's not a good system. It's not a good idea, right? We've got to figure out how to make sure everyone in our society has their needs met. And as soon as you say that, I already know people are going to be like, yeah, but he's talking about socialism. He's talking about communism. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not advocating for communism or even socialism. But what I'm advocating for is there shouldn't be profit attached to your well-being. Because if there is, there's someone who will make more money from your struggle than from remediating your struggle. That's just how it works. And so we've got to figure this out. Now, here's what I'll say. I believe that we could fix all these problems. I really do. Because America's driven by money. So if we put enough money into it, we'd fix a lot of these problems. And so my challenge to you all is in the comments, you tell me, what do we do? How do we fix this? How do we band together, how do we get the people with the money to see it as valuable and important to help the people without the money? I don't know how you do that. Because I don't believe we should force anyone to do anything. I think you should be able to do with your money whatever you want to do with your money. But we've got to create a cultural shift so that people want to do what's right with their money. And what's right is somebody send that Uber driver some money so that he doesn't struggle, so that he's not sitting in his car in tears. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm gonna go online and try to help this dude in whatever way I can. I'm sure by now this is the way it works. Somebody will have started a GoFundMe. I'm gonna find it, and if I do, I'm gonna put it in the description of this video. I'm gonna put out a link, whatever I find. If that dude, and if there isn't one yet, I'll figure out a way to get this dude. I'm gonna send some money. I'm gonna help because I'm talking about him. And not wanting him to be mad at the people who didn't put $5 in the pot. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to send dude some money. I'll find a way. And if I find a way, I'll put it in the description. And my challenge to you all is help, right? Let's stop talking about this stuff. Let's just fix it. Like AOC, when she saw And I think Beto did it too. I think it was Beto. Was it or was it Mayor Pete? Somebody. Somebody. It was AOC, and I saw somebody else had raised some money and went to Texas with the aid. That's what you do. That's how it works. You when you figure out that there are people in need, roll up your sleeves and help. Stop talking, do it. And until we have a culture of action like that, these problems will just continue to perpetuate themselves. And I'll go a step further. Uber. Give them people some money. If you don't find this dude, if I don't got nothing to do with this, right? I don't know that dude. I don't work for Uber. I don't even really use Uber all like that. But I'm going to send dude money because I'm talking about him. So it's only right. It's only kind. I'm going to send him some money. I'm going to give him the tip that somebody else didn't give. It'll probably be more than a $5 tip. But that's what I'm going to do. And I encourage everyone watching this to do the same. Send some money to Texas. Send some money to that Uber driver. Do something. Take action. If we as a society don't start helping each other and start recognizing our responsibility to each other, that is how America will fall. Period. Point blank. Simple as that. This whole unrestricted capitalism, every man for himself, it's a terrible idea. And so I encourage you all to consider rolling up your sleeves and helping someone. If you are in a position to help somebody and you don't, you suck at life. I'm calling you names. I'm judging you right now, me. And I hope it makes you mad. I hope that makes you feel bad. If you're wealthy and you're watching these people suffer, I don't like you. And I feel good about that. So my challenge to all of you, and you don't got to be in Texas. You could be anywhere in the world. My challenge is let's help. Let's roll up our sleeves and help people. There's a lot of people in need right now. So that's what I want. I'm gonna go and do some homework. I'm gonna find a way to send a link to this dude, send him a little bit of love, and I want you all to do the same. Or look up AOC. I'm gonna find that. I'll put a link in there too. However AOC raised money, I'm gonna find that. I'll put that in the description too, and send money. And I'm sure there are other situations where people need help. So if you know of those kinds of situations, put them in the description, or not in the description, put them in the comments. You can't get into the description. That's mine. But put it in the comments. Put a link to, and this is not about, I need some, will you give me some money? Nah, like we're talking humanitarian issues here. We're talking people, on large scale needing a lot of help. There are people freezing right now. There are homeless people, and it's cold outside. So if there's a way, I apologize. I keep looking for the clock because I don't have Danny here. Danny's the one that would keep me under control and tell me when I got 2 minutes left, 5 minutes, all that stuff. That's his job. So I'm keep looking at my clock. But it's time for us to get things together, start rolling up our sleeves. My challenge to you is pay somebody's tip for them. There are people out there in the world who are ordering food and they don't have tip money. And so send some love. Or just go to a restaurant, order some takeout, and drop a nice big tip, even though nobody really had to do much for you. Because that's the thing I think about a lot, is I'm doing a lot. I don't sit in the restaurants right now. It's not safe. I don't feel good about that. But I'll go and do takeout. But I realize that they're probably not making as much money in tips for the takeout. So when I have a little extra to give, I always try to do that, so that people aren't hurting just because of the fact that I'm not sitting in the restaurant. If I'm sitting in the restaurant, you're definitely getting a nice tip. But for takeout, I feel like a lot of people forget. And I'm probably not perfect about it. So, don't get me up here lying. If you have me as a customer once and I gave you a tip that you didn't like, I have my days. I have my good days and bad days, I'm sure, where I forget, I'm rushing and I forget, oh man, I didn't really give a much tip. But what I'll say is, this is what we ought to do. We got to start rolling up our sleeves, folks, and working together on these things. And Ted Cruz, my challenge to you is show and prove, right? You're back. Okay. You got slapped on the wrist. People were a little upset with you. So now do something big, right? Pay some of these electric bills off, or use your power to create a fund so that electric company can get their money, but these people don't have to pay the bill. It couldn't be that difficult. And that you do have the power to do that. Figure it out. Because it won't work this way. I hope you all recognize it. It will not work. America cannot work this way. It will fall apart. And it should fall apart because this is a bad system. I've been saying it for a while now. It's just a bad idea. America's a bad idea. The way it works right now today is a bad idea. And so we got to do what we can to fix it. So I'm going to put some stuff in the description so that you all have an opportunity to help whoever you can help. Send some love, show some love. Not to me. I'm good. Don't send it to me. But I'll find some links so that you can send love to the folks that I was talking about. And shout out to AOC for being a good leader. That's leadership. I really, really like her. I really do. She gets a lot of flack. And I want to talk about that one day. I need to have a whole episode about AOC. Why are conservatives so afraid of AOC? It's so confusing to me. She is young and energetic and absolutely brilliant. And they hate that. And I don't get why. I understand being afraid of it. I understand, I get that part. Don't get me wrong. I understand that, particularly old white dudes do not like a strong, smart, go-getter woman. They don't like that. But I feel like people in general, that's not just, I can't put that on only on old white men, but people really seem to be afraid of AOC and attack her at every turn, every corner. But she's representing the plight of like struggling people. And so, you know what else I'm gonna do? I'm sending some money to AOC's campaign. I'm sure she's not running for anything right now, but I'm sure she's got a war chest, and I'm about to put some money in it to help out. Because that's what you do. You have to support the people who are doing the things you want to see done in the world. So, AOC, my little check is coming. It ain't gonna be big because I don't have big check money, but it's coming. And Uber Eats dude, it's coming. As soon as I find some way, I'm sending you a tip. You don't even have to drive all the way to Pennsylvania to send me some food. I got you. And so do something, folks. Send some love someone's way, because that's the only way we make this world better is helping each other. So I if you have any thoughts on this, put them in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know what your take is on the whole idea of being a simp. I don't get it. And tell me what you think about what's going on in Texas. And if you work for a beta, hit me up, inbox message, so you can get my address, because I'm actually low right now. And so if we could work out this deal maybe sooner rather than later, that would be good. But that's all I've got for today. Here without Danny Miller, I'm Dr. Rueben Brock, and this is House Call.